for coming in hot. With Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senators Bobby Ryan and Jason York.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the show. Brent Wallace alongside everybody's favorite family members, Jason York and Bobby Ryan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, it's family day here in Ontario, Bob. That's the reason.
Oh, just another made-up holiday for a 4-day weekend. You guys seem to run through once a month up there.
Wait, it's President's Day in the U.S. Speaking of made-up holidays.
Yes, a day to honor all the presidents, not for your family.
No.
Nobody even likes their family, do they?
Can you name me all the presidents?
No.
How many presidents have there been?
46.
No. 48? I think it's 48.
We'll have to Google that, but it wasn't in my nerd report, so why would I know how many presidents there were?
The end of the day, why do you even need to know this stuff or study this stuff anymore? Because all you got to do is pick up your phone, say, "Hey Siri, name me all the presidents," and there you go. There's your answers.
Exactly.
Why did I start with
this?
It's just it is 40. It is 46.
Oh yeah,
Wally. It's not like the days when the encyclopedia salesman knocked on your door and tried to talk your parents into buying all the Britannicas.
Did you have the encyclopedias, Yorkie?
When you walked into my house on 21 Stanwood Drive, there was a row of encyclopedias that were there. If you wanted to know anything, you had to get this book, Bob, and look up the answer.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I think I'm just a little too late for that. Because I never had encyclopedias, that's for sure.
Encyclopedia Britannica. Wally knows what I'm talking about. He's 60 years old.
No, I'm not, thankfully. And I did have I don't think I had Britannica, but we did have a set of encyclopedias. And went to the library.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I get on board with that.
Can we move on? Is this
that'd be great? Yeah.
Okay, good.
Bob, how many hours sleep do you have? How many hours sleep you get last night? You look exhausted.
I was just gonna say, well, we spent 27 hours moving the last 2 days, and Lindsay did most of the work, so I can't take any credit. But we got into bed at 11. I got almost 8 hours, so I was just exhausted though. Yeah, it was and we're still not done. Now we have to go meet the movers and then drive to Georgia. So we got a long day ahead of us.
Well, I was in Brockville this weekend, but I only went up. So there's a Brockville Winter Classic, big huge charity event they do up there. It's amazing. Bunch of guys came in. Saw Brian McGrattan.
Nice.
What a great guy. But anyhow, guys got in there Friday night, and they were there Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. Guys had to play 3 games on the Saturday, and we played our alumni game on the Sunday. Guys were exhausted by Sunday. Poor Donald had, like, you could tell he had the toothpicks to keep his eyes open.
A couple late nights for the boys. I was going to I was going to fly up for this one. I just couldn't make it work.
Yeah, it was good. I got to see the Daigle, Andre Waugh. There's my D partner, Donald. There's a business decision for you, Bobby. Playing one of these games, I said, Donald, come on back and play D, because I know he's gonna go back and get every puck.
He's going from both corners.
He's going from both corners. But
who tries harder, Neeler or Dono?
Donald's just always going around, buzzing around fast, but
Dono doesn't know how to slow down.
I would say Neeler. Neeler tries pretty hard.
Did his team win?
We were all on the same team, and then but Neeler, he was exhausted by Sunday too. Like it's a long weekend, but great. No, it's such a good event. It's so well run. They actually, one of the things they did during the game, because we're playing against a local team of players that they put together, 5-minute mark, they send out the Timbits. So 30 kids, probably the ages of 3 to 8, come buzzing on the ice, and they take over the game, and we got to play against these little guys. Oh, it was so, that age, right? The little guys are buzzing around the rinks. That was whoever thought of that was very smart. But then we let them score. They had to score like 6 goals against us. So the Timbits won the game. We ended up losing. The alumni went down. We went down.
There's no way Neeler's standing for that. Will McIntyre in the chat just says, Thanks, Yorkie. It was great having you down. Donna was amazing. Came to see my U18 before practice was amazing. So
Donald's a good man. He gets it.
But for all of you, hey, I know you raised a lot of money for charity. Well done. I know Terry Ryan was there. Great to see Diego. Like, you had some great talent down there.
Yeah. Todd Gill was out there. I said Gratz, Laurie Boschman, Jesse Winchester. Have you guys, speaking of Terry Ryan, have you guys watched Shoresy?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, I got into it last night. I couldn't stop watching.
Hilarious.
That's so, well, you got to give it a watch. It's so funny.
I don't like fun.
I know you don't. Yeah. It's got Terry Ryan's actually not a bad actor. He does a pretty good job.
He does a good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great show. I love it.
Terry showed up and his equipment didn't make it, so he had to borrow somebody's skates and somebody's gear. It was so funny.
That's tough. I would go home before I borrow stuff. I can't do it.
Oh God. Yeah. Fun weekend.
Good.
All right. Great. Can we move on?
Let's do it.
We have the pictures. I'm going to keep talking.
How's Marty, by the way? Oh, you did see Marty in Florida, but back that
he's
up
great.
in 2 days.
Marty looks like he can still play. He's still in great shape. I know he's living the life, living in Florida. Got a couple daughters. They play tennis. He's a tennis dad now. Still involved heavily in hockey. Marty Havlat is.
Well, he was the GM for the Czech team.
So they lost. So that's how they do it in Europe. They fire everybody. And they call Marty back a couple of days later. Yeah, you're fired, but we're going to now make you the assistant GM.
What?
Optically, we have to make this look like we're going to make some changes. So they made Peter Nedved the GM. Marty's now the assistant GM. Wow. They got Marek Ziglicki's in there as one of the coaches. Thomas Plakanec. No, that's what Marty does. They're building up. Well, he's pissed because Czech doesn't have a team in this next
the Four
event,
Nations,
right? With the 4 teams, he's like, this makes no sense.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But I don't want to get off track. But what do you do with teams that have good players like Anze Kopitar, but you can't put in a competitive hockey team? What do you do?
Well, see, the Czechs. There's a difference between Slovenia and Czechs. They're good enough.
I understand that, but do you have 5 teams then?
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a natural stopping point, but I mean, teams that can actually compete and play, Czechs.
You could do. I think you should do 6.
I was going to say
U.S., Canada, Sweden,
Finland,
Finland, Czech. Yeah. Like on the outside, Slovakia, though it's not quite the same as it used to be.
It's not.
Not. So but that's it. Yeah, you have to give, and then you have to stop it because other than that, you're making Team North America again, which is
right.
A little
so that's
ridiculous.
The only thing.
Yeah.
I only want to see the Olympics. I don't care too much about the Four Nations Cup based on just who you've eliminated.
Get the young guns back. You remember the young guns team?
Yep, the Connor McDavid team.
That was fun. Yeah,
it was good.
Did you play in that game, Bob?
No, I did not. No,
that was a while ago. But that thing got a little buzz going.
Yeah, well, they played that preseason. I remember the preseason game, Canada-US played in Ottawa. I took a bunch of the boys because we were starting training camp the next couple of days, so we all went to the game, and it was a good game. The boys were playing hard, so it was a good. I enjoyed that tournament. I enjoyed watching that.
Me too.
I do remember asking because Brad Marchand was in Canada. Obviously, they had the Sens room, and I think he had Fish's locker stall, but he was at his ultimate pest top of his game. So there was did it feel weird to be in here? Because I think, did he not spear Zach Smith or something?
Oh, I'm sure he did, but I don't remember.
I think he got a suspension. I feel like it happened.
Remember what he did with Boro was the neon. He went low on Boro.
And then there was and then Boro something about kick his dog. I can't. It got out of hand there for a bit. Anyway, never a dull moment with Brad Marchand. All right, let's get
All
to
right.
the Sens.
All right, let's go. Let's rip the Sens. Come on, enough.
We
of
got
that.
some. Maybe this isn't a good family day show. We got some business to take care of. As always, let's welcome our new partner to the show, Douglas Mattress.
Oh, he's such a good guy.
Member of the Coming in Hot family. Named Canada's best mattress on Canadian living. Unrivaled comfort and feel, motion isolation, sleeps cool, release pressure points, great value. More than 200,000 Canadians love Douglas Mattress. Over 10,000 5-star reviews. Easy online ordering. Coast-to-coast delivery, usually 1 to 4 business days. Get it delivered right to your doorstep. 365 risk-free trial. You don't like it? Just get a full refund. Every mattress comes with 2 memory foam pillows and 2 pillow protectors and a luxurious cotton sheet set and a mattress protector. Over a $650 value when you order your Douglas mattress. So order today at douglas.ca/CIH, please.
The show is also brought to you. No, it's not. They're gone. Oh, there they are. They're back. Punisher Excavating, the heavy civil general contractor in both the public and the private sector. When planning your next project, consider them for your aggregate supply needs, including all things equipment rentals, haulage and floating, concrete formwork. They move stuff. You can find them at punisherexcavating.com or at 613-432-1120. BEI is helping to shape the Ottawa Valley, hiring now for the summer months and the spring months, and as always, please slow down in construction zones.
And if you're looking for a fun night out, you got to check out Battlegrounds Axe Throwing. Do you know who's one of the best axe throwers around? I heard, guys, it's Douglas Mattress. He's unbelievable. Loves to go axe throwing. Kids 12 and up you got to throw accompanied by a guardian. If you're looking for that birthday party, some team building, or just having a great night out with your significant other, you got to check it out. Battlegrounds Axe Throwing. It's located at 2615 Lancaster Road. It's safe. It's fun. It requires no practice. Just come on down to the facility and the coaches will show you how it's done and they'll show you the ropes. You can book at battlegrounds.com.
So speaking of throwing, I feel like we're throwing darts at this point at the fact that Ottawa has now dropped 2 in a row to 2 teams below them in the standings, which when you look at the standings, there's not a lot of teams there. What do we think of when we see the Ottawa Senators drop that game to Chicago, despite the fact, they outshot them 42-22. Well, we'll say they carried the play. Was it just simply Peter Mrazek, or were they not what they should have been?
Well, the goal stole a game. Wouldn't you agree? I think so. You know, when you look at all the metrics the statistics on the left-hand side of that board, 42, outside of the face-off battle, you go 50% on the power play. You only take 2 penalties. If I'm picking a team that I think wins based just on solely statistics, it's going to be the Sens in this one. So they did carry the pace of play. I thought they were the better team, but yeah, the goalie stole one, and Korpisalo did not. It's basically all.
Is that an easy way to put the Korpisalo thing?
I don't think I don't know. Maybe the goal on the Bedard goal, but I don't know. He probably loses that puck through the screen. But it obviously it still goes 7-hole, I guess you would call that, right through. I don't know. Right here, Yorkie, is that what?
Yeah. Sometimes those go in. It's what we were talking about. This is going to be a really important stretch to see if Korpisalo can get some consistency in his game, because he gives you hope. It's like, oh, okay, he's playing well. Then all of a sudden you play 2 games where, let's, at the end of the day, look at the save percentage in the 2 losses. And it's just, you can't win when you're goaltender. Somebody sent a tweet out the other day. It talked about when the Senators get an above 900 save percentage, their record, it just goes through the roof. And when it's not, they lose. And that's pretty well what it's like in the National Hockey League. If you don't have consistent goaltending, you're not going to win.
No.
You're not. And we can pick apart mistakes here, mistakes there. If you flip the camera around, though, and look at the other team, when Ottawa gets those 40-plus shots, there's all kinds of mistakes being made by the other team. But the difference is the goalie makes saves. And that's pretty well hockey. And there's no better example than you get to the playoffs. That's when the goaltending is it's basically a game of goalie. That's what it is. It's like whoever has the better goalie is winning. But Ottawa, it's scary because if he doesn't figure it out, like they're stuck with this contract for the next 4 years. And
yeah, so they're
not
12.
Yeah.
Ottawa's 12-1 with Jonas Korpisalo is above 900 save percentage.
Yeah, it's so deflating as a team when you play a team like Chicago. And let's be honest, Ottawa's a team like Chicago too. They're not very good, but they were starting to play better, and then they score on takes just a lot less opportunities for them to score. So that's what happens. Ottawa was on a nice little roll, and people that thought Ottawa was going to you can't continue to play at that clip of hockey over a long period of time, because there's always going to be a game where a couple bad goals go in, things don't go your way, the puck doesn't bounce well. So at the end of the day, Ottawa is where they are because of their start to the season. And it's just like if they were a playoff team right now and they had a game like that, you say, oh well, we have games like that. It was 3-2, we lost it. It happens, but everything's been compounded because they had another shitty start, and now everyone's going to dissect. Oh, this player didn't play good, and that player didn't play good. Well,
I think they've allowed the first goal in the last 6 straight games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And that's goaltending, because like good goalies, they battle through the starts of games because there's a stat in hockey when usually the team that scores first wins. So it's like, it's just, man, oh God.
So on the other side of that, by the way, Jonas Korpisalo, 115-1 when it's below 900 save percentage.
Yeah. And like, I don't want to shit all over the guy, but we gotta be honest here. Like, we have no agenda on this show. Like, it is what it is. Tell the truth. The goalie hasn't been good enough. And there's other guys too that are
okay.
That's
okay. So Yorkie, we understand he hasn't been good enough. We do know he has 3 more years in his contract, and people are now speculating, well, let's buy him out. I don't believe that's going to happen because you got to spread it over 6 years. I just don't think they want to take that kind of. They would rather move him. But are we at the point where he's now a trade target or a trade possibility to move? Do we have to move on from Jonas Korpisalo despite the fact that we're a little more than halfway through a season?
Nobody's touching him with that contract.
Yeah, you're retaining a lot of money on that contract if you're getting rid of him, and you're strapping a first to him, which there's no first to give out anyway. So to answer your question, I think they would love to move on from him. I just don't think it's a possibility. At all. I mean, who's touching him right now? No one.
Yeah.
Coming into this season though, people were happy. Like, they felt that perhaps Jonas Korpisalo could be a number 1 goaltender, but they were happy with the tandem, and we're not seeing that. Do we just Yorkie, do we just move on, or do we go, well, maybe we just got to figure this out and be ready for next season? That's what I think.
If you talk to most people though, most people haven't watched him consistently over the time. Like, oh yeah, he played pretty good in the playoffs last year against Edmonton. Like, he had a lot of shots. Like, nobody really, like, his sample size as a starter is just so small. And like, it's you normally don't give a contract that long to a goaltender. I know that you try and entice somebody, but at the end of the day, Pierre Dorion had too much power during this summer, when it's unfortunate that the ownership group couldn't put a gag order on him and said, you're done. Like, no more moves. Like, you've done enough damage. Stop it. But at the end of the day though, like, back to Korpisalo for a sec. At the beginning of the season, the Senators were giving up all kinds of opportunities, and it's like, okay, let's see how he plays once they start tightening up.
Right.
The concerning thing for me is they've tightened things up now, and they're still losing some games that they should. Like the Chicago. So it's not too late.
There's a game he didn't have to steal. He didn't have to be great in. He just had to be acceptable in, and he's not capable of doing that right now. So you have to start Forsberg for a stretch here and see if he's got what it takes. To at least give you some kind of trust factor from the guys in front of you, right? Because it doesn't look like it matters who's back there right now. The trust level seems very low, and a lot of that's Forsberg being injured for a long period of time. When he was really coming on, he had a tough time, right? The injury came at a tough time. So he's going to play his way back to that, and I think he's capable. But I just think when Korpisalo goes in, you can almost see it when he's in net. The guys are tentative. Which shot from the outside is going to be the one that falls in, right? Like, how am I gonna rack up a minus tonight because my goalie didn't see a puck for whatever reason?
It does make you appreciate Craig Anderson a whole lot more.
Does it ever? Hey, does it ever?
Like he
how
never
good
got
we
the
had it.
attention. I don't think he deserved or never got the attention he deserved in Ottawa.
He was so good, eh, Bob? This
Oh.
is my thing. When we had Rhodesy and Tugger on, I disagreed on the one thing they said. I think it takes a special goaltender mentally to play good in the Canadian market. I really do, because I've seen it so many times. Craig doesn't give a fuck. Like,
but the Ottawa market is so soft when it comes to questioning goaltending.
I don't know. We just rip the goalie for 20 minutes.
So you think Jonas Korpisalo is listening to this?
No, I don't. But
it's the only he's got to face questions in the locker room, and those questions are going to be, well, would you like to have a couple back? Whatever. It's soft.
I would just say this about K market. There's a certain kind of energy inside the building after a game, before a game. You just know things matter more. Versus Columbus, nobody really cares. Like, besides your management, like, you can just tell in a K market how much it means to the people that live here, winning, losing. It's different. It's totally different. I played in Anaheim. People don't care. Like, it's at Ottawa, like, you can just feel the energy in the building. And I just think there's a different kind of pressure, especially for goaltenders in Canadian markets. I do. And some guys can do it and some guys can't. And it's obvious to this date, this goaltender can't do it.
Yeah. And to your point, Wally, when you talk about what he has to answer, yes, he has to field certain questions about it that any pro player should have to stand up there and answer, of course. But it's what seeps through. Questions from his friends. You're like, oh, I heard this. Right. Family. Oh, I heard. Like, it really does. It seeps through. It finds its way into every part of your life.
Tell me Carter Hart doesn't deal in okay, sorry, I should just use Philadelphia. Tell me Philadelphia goaltending doesn't deal with the same issues. Or if it's in Boston or Minnesota, it's not Canadian markets. You can pick lots of US markets.
You can.
The New York Rangers, like, they're all over their guys.
Yeah.
Minnesota, they like, so
I do believe I played for Detroit, which is a big market, but it's a COVID year. So let's just cancel that out. I don't have that experience. And then I played for Anaheim, where on any given day, there was 4 beat writers traveling with you that had no clue what hockey like questions were supposed to be asked. They were just like, they were like you, Wally. They just came and got on the plane for the food. But so I can't relate to, but I can understand what you're saying about, let's just say New York, for example. There's a big time market and a hard market to play in. I still think there's a difference between what comes through in Canada, because
really
they make their point and that's the end of it. In Canada, you turn the TV on and that point's still being made 12 hours later because TSN's still running Sports Center. It's just different.
Maybe. But I will say in Philadelphia, because I always remembered, like, Philadelphia had basically goalie graveyard, as like Ottawa did for better part of the 2000s. They went from Michael Layton to they couldn't find anybody. And I just remember people like, nobody can play in Philadelphia, and it was constantly talked about. That's all I'm thinking of. It feels like it's the same market to me.
When I was in Detroit, before they figured out their goaltending situation, Tim Shovelday basically got booed out of town. Like, he just got roasted every night by the fans. Like, it was crazy. But I think what Bob's talking about with the media, like, we're back to the old term, right? The term we used last week when you got to answer to Wally and all the guys all the time. You got a large amount of Pindix.
Where's my sweatshirt?
It's coming. I love it. It's in production. Don't be a Pindick.
So don't ask questions, is what you're saying. So don't try to find out what's wrong. Just go in and say, hey, you played great. You deserved a better fate.
I don't know, Bob. Bob knows more about Pindix than I do.
Yeah.
It's his
No,
phrase.
Yorkie, let's move on. That's
to your point, no, Wally, nobody's saying don't ask questions, right? Players have every right to be held accountable because they're paying. That's the job. You're paid to perform. And if you're not, field a question from a pin deck. It happens. But all I'm saying, when you play in a U.S. market versus a Canadian market, I just feel like the U.S. markets have so many other sports and things going on, right? We'll use New York. Rangers are the prime ticket for the month of March, but then baseball season starts up and you forget all about them because the Yankees are on. And remember, I'm using the one city.
Yeah. No, I don't argue with that. Yeah.
And there's other sports, and it's not in your face. In Canada, especially, let's just use Ottawa, for example. There's no other sports team. It's in your face. TSN 1200 is talking. So-and-so is talking. It's very hard to block it out 24/7 where other teams and other sports and other markets are able to move on to different things. So I just think there's a difference, but you have every responsibility to go up there and ask, and you have the responsibility to ask them. We have the responsibility to answer them. It just takes a certain player to be able to answer. And when it's not going well, you have to do it over and over again. It becomes very grating, and it just adds to the laundry list of reasons things aren't going well. That's all.
But no, I get it.
Yeah.
And so I just will say, like, I'll take the 22 years experience in the Ottawa room. We're pretty soft. They don't come at you all the time because we feel it too, right? If I'm around you every day, I don't want to keep asking you, why aren't you scoring? Mm-hmm. You already know, you feel it. So we try to avoid it and find another topic. And that's what you try to do. You try to move around and skip that topic for the day. And that's all I'm saying is, do you want to be, the argument then is, don't you want to be the thing that everybody, that's why you're a professional athlete, is so that everybody can talk about you and want to be you and wear your jersey.
That's not why I just happen.
You just wanted the money.
I just happen to be. That's 90% of the players would probably. Nope. A lot of players would pick something else to do. They just happen to be very good at hockey, right, Yorkie?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that are just really good at the game, and I can honestly say they don't love it. Like, there are guys, people.
Well, no, at this point, you're right. When was the most fun you two had playing hockey?
Playoffs. I love the playoffs.
Playoffs,
like,
yeah. 2017, and then the years in Anaheim where we went. Yeah.
But was it as a professional, or was it playing at a different level? Because the professional level is so like, I understand you're paid millions, but it is a grind.
There's nothing like the Stanley Cup playoffs. The adrenaline rush. You've got to be just so aware and so on top of your game. The challenge of playing in the playoffs is uncomparable. And that's why certain guys can raise their games. To me, it's without question. Playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs was the best time ever playing hockey. Honestly, like, differently when you're a kid, it's nostalgia. When you're on the outdoor rink, that's like a different love for a game. But most guys make it to the NHL because they have a competitive drive where they want to be really, really good. And there's no better time to test that than in the playoffs. And any player worth a grain of salt would tell you the same thing, that it's the playoff. That's just me. Playoffs.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The playoffs are the most fun I've had, and not just in one year or a run. 2017 was obviously a great one because we were there for longer. But every time you go, there's just a different feeling, and that's the most fun I've had for sure.
The most fun I've ever had, though, like all-encompassing fun, everything including, was in Switzerland. What a gong show! I'll never experience something like that in my life.
I would actually go right back to, say, Portland, Maine, when we went really deep in the playoffs twice there too. Man, that's a fun city when it's bumping.
Oh, God.
So yes, all right. Back to the Sens. Sorry, way off topic today. We're not even close to.
We're all over the map here.
I want to get to today. I got a concern, and I need a goal scorer's take on this particular player, Bob. In our today's DoorDash hot and cold performer, as always, proudly delivered by DoorDash. Get everything you need, even at the last minute. Choose what you want from where you want. With Double Dash on DoorDash, you can order from multiple restaurants or stores in the same delivery. The additional delivery fees, so everyone can get what they want or need. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and zero delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code NATION25. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code NATION25. Offered valid in Canada, subject to change, terms apply. Okay, gentlemen. Our cold performers, Josh Norris. Last 18 games, he's got a goal and 6 points. He's -5. Even his faceoffs have struggled. What's wrong with Josh Norris?
I got to be honest. You're coming to the end of the rope here where you say, hey, he's missed a year of hockey, right? He's been back for a while now. He's played a good amount of games. So it's like, how much longer do you give him to say you still missed a year of hockey? The tentativeness that you probably should have showed when you got back with your shoulder, not wanting to get hit, like not feeling comfortable.
Yep.
Like those things are gone. I just think the transition between DJ to Jock's been tough on him. You can see that he's trying to play a little more of a 200-foot game. I think he's tracked better. I think he's been below the puck more. I think when you initially make that switch from, hey, I got to score, to let's just be better 200 feet and let the offense come, that didn't happen right away, obviously.
Yep.
And now it compounds and gets harder and harder to get out of it. So I want to give Josh a little bit of kudos for taking on a different role, not a different role. He's still supposed to score. A little more of a challenge to be a 200-foot player, because I do think he's made some strides there. But he's being paid $8 million to score goals. He's got to find the back of the net, and doing a little too much perimeter stuff for me too. And like, I was a guy that was guilty of that as a goal scorer. You try to get lost for time, shooting lanes and things like that. Where I think he's just got to get to the net a little more. I think he's got to be around the call it the high quality scoring zone. That you could call it the house, whatever you want to call it. I think he's on the outside of that a little too much for me right now. I noticed it a ton in the Anaheim game. So they're all fixable issues and they're coachable issues. He's just got to really try to. He's got to take a lot of shots in practice. He doesn't look, when you haven't scored outside of once in 18 games, you're fighting everything. Like, you're fighting the puck, you're fighting the shots in practice. So he's searching. So it's just a matter of time. To me, anyway, it's a matter of time until he comes out of it. But he's running out of runway.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you, because we all know Josh, and so I don't believe this to be the case whatsoever. He just looks uninspired.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I think maybe I just don't like the word, because I do believe you're right about certain shifts I've noticed there, or the way he's forechecked a little bit. But he's also not a kid that, and I know him. Obviously, I played with him to a degree. He's got a great work ethic, so I don't think that's the issue. I just think he's really struggling, and when you're really struggling, it's easy to pinpoint why. You can say he looks uninspired. It's easy to find examples of everything when you're struggling. That's what people used to say about me when I wasn't scoring. Well, he's slow. Well, I've always been slow, but I've scored 30 a bunch of times too. It's just like
4 to be exact.
It's just easy. It's just easier to look at a player and say certain things about them when they're struggling. So every time he misses a hit, we talk about it, whatever it might be. I don't think he's confident. I don't think he's taking time off or shifts off on purpose. I think it's easy to say that, but he's got to figure it out. And I don't know what the answer is. I really don't.
Do you know what I find when a guy like Josh, for example, when things aren't going well in the NHL, like sometimes you'll play so the style Jacques wants to play, he wants guys on top of the puck. He wants numbers, and he wants to make it hard for the other team to come to the neutral zone. So the worst thing you could do in the NHL, especially if you're a player that's supposed to drive plays and make things happen, is kind of wait. And like you're trying to do the right thing, and then you end up thinking about things. And when you think, because in the NHL, you got to be 2 steps ahead, most times 3 steps ahead. You got to be very intuitive of just you're playing and you're just everything's happening organically and you're not thinking. When I watch Josh play right now, it seems like he's thinking too much. He's thinking about what he's supposed to do, what the coaches want, where he should be, and he's not playing naturally. And most of these guys got to the NHL from doing what they do naturally and working really, really hard. So to me, there's a hesitation in his game right now. And when you hesitate in the NHL, it's too late. The play's already happened. It's already happened. So to me, he's trying to do the right things, but he's playing too safe. He's not just playing like he did when he scored 35 that year, when he just things happen because and DJ coached a totally different style. It was more, you could get two guys caught and then you got to backtrack like crazy to get back in the play, where Jacques doesn't want you to get beat up ice, which is, they call that losing numbers. You go down too low and all of a sudden you've lost position. So a lot of players, there's still an adjustment period there. But I'll say this with Josh's game. I love him, and I've seen glimpses when he plays physical. When he gets involved, he's a lot stronger than people think. I've seen him out. He's a strong guy.
Yeah, he is.
And Ottawa needs that right now. Like, I'd love to get my hands on him and like just push him to be that guy, because Ottawa desperately needs that guy. A 200-foot center iceman that instinctively goes there. You run a guy over from time to time. You get big goals, but you can't play that way when you're thinking too much and you're waiting. And all of a sudden, like Bob said, you haven't scored in a while, then you're pressing more. So I think it's all up. I think it's all up here.
I do too. I think I like what you said, and I'd put it in layman's terms. He's doing a lot more reacting instead of being proactive right now.
Right.
He's doing a lot of reacting.
You can't play that way, Bob, because then you lose your confidence, and you just sometimes the best. This is weird to say. A lot of the top players in the world, it's not that they don't care, but they just play, and good things happen because they don't care that much about making mistakes. When you care a lot about making mistakes, you end up playing worse.
Oh, it's the worst feeling, because I was
so
like that
bad.
my whole career. Yeah. And then you make one, especially if you make it early in the game, you're a mess for a couple shifts. Yeah.
So
the worst.
Like, it's just, I think he needs to get out of his head too, that he has to be a goal scorer. Ottawa needs more guys that are hard to play against, and that can score as well. Like, I'd be fine if Josh Norris was a 20 to 25 goal scorer, but was super hard to play against. I don't care if he gets 35. Just like they need more of that, and he can be that. It's just, he's trying to find himself as a player.
Is he carrying around $8 million on his back? And
he is.
Right. Like, I'm wondering
It weighs
if that's
on you.
Yeah,
it does. It weighs on you. I don't even want to.
For you?
Oh, absolutely. You feel the weight of a contract for sure. Absolutely feel the weight of a contract. So, and it's almost like I don't want to break it down too much, because the simple answer is yes, and it's not something that goes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
You feel it.
Because I do remember comments from you, like, I think if you'd be struggling, you're like, yeah, well, my contract says I've got to score goals. Like, you were very open about that part of it being on the mental side of it, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was absolutely something that I thought about all the time. And there was never a way around it, because whether you guys gave me a softball for the day or whatever, it was still being talked about somewhere else.
Guys,
this is what, like Norris is still young enough, and he doesn't have that many games in the league yet, where you can tweak his game and he can turn into that type of player. That's why I keep saying, like, Tarasenko's he's just a goal scorer that plays. Like, Ottawa has too many forwards that we say, okay, he's a 30 goal scorer. He's a 30 goal scorer. Like, you can't have that many guys that are just, he's a 30 goal scorer. Like, when Matthew Joseph was playing really well, Wally, like, how effective was he? Like, just that guy that skates a million miles an hour, hard to play against, finishes hits, and he chips in offensively. Ottawa needs more guys like that.
Yep, I agree with you. So, but I was going to move on. But the one thing I have, and everybody keeps saying, everybody needs to be a 200-foot player, but everybody isn't a 200-foot player, right? You don't have like Danny Heatley wasn't a 200-foot player. Nobody said, hey, I want Danny Heatley to backcheck more while he's filling the net with 50 goals. And that one was always like Jason Spezza wasn't a 200-foot player.
Yeah. I would say, though,
they're hell of players.
I would say the game has changed considerably since 2007, though. And I like the Heater the Heater was a special player, but you could cheat a little more in that era. Like, every era changes. Like, there were certain guys in that area, like on your fourth line, your fifth and sixth. Not everybody could really skate back then. Everybody, like if you cheat right now in today's game, it gets exposed because everybody can skate, and it just wasn't like that. And it's getting fast. Everybody says it. Well, every get faster, gets faster, gets faster. And if the game's extremely fast, so if you, for instance, they showed some clips last game when Timmy Stützle, you get on the wrong side of the puck for a split second and it gets turned over, you're in a bad position defensively and you're automatically given a chance up because teams are just so quick at countering where it's just you can't cheat the game because it's gonna bite you in the ass.
Yes, I agree. But I also think that we can't expect 12 players or 12 forwards or even all 18 skaters to be 200-foot players who can all score 25 goals a game. It just doesn't make any sense.
But you can't have your top six primarily be guys that aren't top 200-foot players. Your top nine, and that's the problem with Ottawa. Like, let's say right now, who's out of Ottawa's top nine, in my opinion, their best 200-foot player is Claude Giroux.
Oh no, it's not even a question.
And you can't have a 36-year-old be your best 200-foot player. I'm sorry. Like, you can't.
But Claude Giroux's different. When you say 36-year-old player, Claude Giroux is a potential Hall of Fame candidate. Let's give him more respect than a 36-year-old. He just beat Shane Pinto skating in a skating competition.
100%. Claude Giroux has been the Ottawa's best player this year. I think it's safe to say that.
I don't argue with you.
No, I don't either.
And because he plays smart, like he doesn't. And I don't care if he's 35. I'm just saying most teams, like your young guys, the problem with the Senators is their young guys haven't been taught from day one in their game to be responsible. And now we're seeing the after effects of it.
Mm.
Well, there was always as you always brought it up, like Brady was always told to be the guy flying the zone all the time.
Fly the zone every time. Yeah. Fly the zone.
All right, moving on. We got to get to speaking of Claude Giroux. You know what? We're going to do our Wendy's Did You Know since he's fresh on our minds. Wendy's and the Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool wants to give you some free prizes. So make sure you check them out and encourage to use the Daily Face-Off Wendy Survivor app, which is on the dailyfaceoff.com. For those of you who want to smoke the competition, Wendy's is rewarding you with your weekly prizes that will have you winning despite your lack of team building skills. Download the Wendy's app and score yourself 150 bonus reward points on your first order, or grab the sweet victory from mouth-watering jaws of defeat along with some fresh, never frozen beef. Sign up to play the Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool to win weekly prizes like the spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's and the Wendy's app. Okay. Did you know on February 19th, 2008, Claude Giroux made his NHL debut as Philadelphia visited the Ottawa Senators. By the way, today is February the 19th, for those who don't know. 16 years later, Giroux sits 77th all-time in NHL scoring with 1,050 points. The 36-year-old that Yorkie thinks is old is also tied with Jeremy Roenick for 58th in assists with 703. And tonight, he will face the Tampa Bay Lightning, gentlemen. They just got pumped 9-2 by the Florida Panthers, who are sitting first overall in the Eastern Conference. They just decimated the Tampa Bay Lightning. However, Tampa's played well of late. Like until that game, they were 11-3 in their last 14 games. But what a shellacking by the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Doesn't it always end up like this for Ottawa? The team gets pumped the night before they come in, or the game before, and they come in all pissed off to play Ottawa.
So now what happens? Yeah.
Well, they're going to show up. That's what's going to happen.
Is this worst case scenario for the Ottawa Senators tonight?
I don't know. I honestly, it's past that point. I know people don't want to hear it, but Ottawa's got to start looking at a lottery pick.
But you're not getting the players. Can we stop with this? You're not getting the players to go on the ice and want a lottery pick. They want nothing to do with this, so they're going to play as hard as they can. For sure. Jacques Martin is not going to coach them to play for a lottery pick.
100%.
Agreed.
So the only people that want the lottery pick sit up in the fourth level and look down and wonder what's going to happen. But they have no impact on how that's going to play unless they change the roster.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that, Wally.
One thing players hate is hearing about lottery picks. I always used to hate going in the locker room going, hey, guys, you're not that far from a lottery pick. What do you think of Macklin Celebrini?
Nobody in the room wants to hear that, but this is worst case scenario. I mean, you got a team that just got pumped. You just got pumped by 2 teams that are worse than you, and there's only 3. So you got to think that they're going to have a response too. I just think that, again, the Lightning have been good. I actually watch quite a bit of them. Kucherov is just fun to watch right now, and I always watched them since a good buddy of mine was there when they were winning 2 cups together. So I like watching that team play. And
would he be in Chicago right now?
Yes. Yeah. Tyler was down there. And I tune into some of their games too. That phantom call they made on Tyler with a couple minutes left. What a bad. I was like, what is that? So anyway, I would not want to be going into Tampa Bay right now and having to play a team that just lost 9-2 against a cross-state rival. No, thank you. That's like it's like getting Anaheim after they lose to the Kings, Yorkie. The boys are just salty for a week.
Salty. They want no part of that.
None.
So Vasilevsky allowed 6 goals in that game on 22 shots for a .727 save percentage. That's the 3rd worst save percentage of his entire 446 starts. And his 9 goals against for that game, with 9 goals against average, I should say, the 3rd highest in his career. Like, that was a horrendous game.
Yeah.
I think things will change.
I think
as we go to our lock of the day, because I will tell you, things aren't that good. Ottawa 0-4-1 in its last 5 visits to Tampa. The road record is 7-14 this season. And Kucherov has 46 career points in 33 games. In his last 10 games against Ottawa, 4 goals, 20 points. And Steven Stamkos has 19 goals in 49 games against Tampa. Against
Ottawa. Man. So
Vasilevsky's last 6 games, a 198 goals against and a 924 save percentage against Ottawa.
Yeah.
He goes in, I would assume, right? You put him back in.
You have to run it back with him and let him get that out of his mind. I'm gonna take Tampa. It's a hard enough building to play in. I always hated playing there. It's just a hard building to win games in down there. And there's gonna be a response. I'm gonna assume that Coop came in and said, "Hey, what in the hell was that?" Never again. So I did say I was gonna pick the Sens a lot down the stretch, and obviously had them against Chicago and had them against Anaheim. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Stanley Cup champs for the last 2 of the last 3 years and bet on them.
Yeah. I'm looking at the standings right now. It's tighter than you'd think in that wild card race right now. You look at the Devils. They got 2 games in hand right now on Tampa. 5 points back. Islanders are still in the mix. Tampa's not a shoo-in to make the playoffs. Like, this is a big game for Tampa. Like, without a question, Vasilevsky.
Which is weird.
It's weird
because the only reason I say that is they've won 11 of their last 15 games or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know.
And they're still struggling.
It's crazy.
Devils, so like they will be ready to play. To me, this is almost a guaranteed win for Tampa. There's just they have to win this game, because if they don't, panic button's going to be starting to get pressed in Tampa with all the teams creeping up on them. So
yeah,
I don't see Vasilevsky having another bad game. I see Tampa bringing their A game. Ottawa's not good on the road. You got some players that are struggling with their games in Ottawa and goaltending. Let's end of the day, I'm taking Vasilevsky over who Ottawa decides to put in that.
I also need to point out that tomorrow they face the Florida Panthers, who are just steamrolling at the moment.
Nasty.
They've got 1 loss in their last 10 games.
That is a wagon. That team is a wagon.
Yeah.
So this is,
look at this murderers row. Then you got Dallas,
man.
Vegas.
They can't get to the Capitals quick enough.
You got a mate with Ovi floating around looking for his goals.
Yeah.
it's tough. I too cannot be convinced this time to take Ottawa. I will take the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Too many roadblocks.
But I did pick Anaheim, guys, and you guys poo-pooed me.
Yeah.
You only took it because you wanted to get back, and you said, I have no reason to take Anaheim except I need to go differently than you guys. So don't pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
They don't ask how you get there. They just ask what number. Travis D just said in the comments, last summer, Bobby said the Bruins would fall in the standings and the Panthers wouldn't repeat their performances from last year.
So I was half right.
Take that. I think I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Standing here.
I just don't understand how Florida, which I thought they were losing players, and how dominant they've been. Is that Paul Maurice?
I think.
They have good. Don't get me wrong. They've got some very good, talented players.
Yeah, they just got a good makeup, and then Sam Reinhart scoring 50 goals is going to be like, where did this come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got some players that play above their contracts. Verhaeghe's another one. They're going to be in some cap problems too next year, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
It feels like whenever a team wins a cup, they've got to dismantle it.
Okay. And their goalie, let's be honest, Bobrovsky's actually playing good in the regular season. He's in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
He's playing. They're getting goaltending, and you got angry forwards on that team that are tough to play. Like Sam Bennett, I think he's one of the best power forwards in the game right now. Like he's a tough guy to play against, Bob. Like you watch him play. He makes you earn every inch of ice out there, and he can hurt you with a hit. If I'm a D-man, anytime he's on the ice, I got to know where he is.
Yeah, Yeah.
He can hit.
Yeah. No, they're just Well, I guess we'll talk about them tomorrow, but they're just just deep too.
So, okay, let me put this to you. We'll see how this plays out tomorrow. Ottawa will win tonight if Jason York.
Their goaltender steals them a game, kind of like what Chicago did to them.
If Vasilevsky gets food poisoning at pregame meal.
It can happen.
You never know. You never know. I'll say this. If they don't give up a power play goal.
Yeah.
If they shut down the power play of Tampa Bay. Good luck, though.
Yeah. They got to stop Nikita Kucherov, which doesn't go well.
Stammer and Point, they're not bad either.
Who you covering? Who you covering? Okay, I'm gonna give up Stamkos shot, Kucherov shot. I got Point in the bumper, and then I got Hedman that can thread anything to the net. It's who do you cover?
Yeah, it's pick your poison.
Well, that's why you need a goaltender.
Yep.
Goalie's your best penalty killer.
So then do you start Forsberg tonight and go to Korpisalo tomorrow, or the other way around?
I'm hoping you got a better chance of beating Tampa Bay, so I'm going to start with Forsberg tonight, and then Korpisalo is going to go tomorrow. That's just me.
Yeah. I think you hope Forsberg catches lightning in a bottle and has one of those games that he's had back before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Anton Forsberg is 1-2-1 in his career versus the Florida. That's Florida. I meant to do Tampa. My apologies. I'll tell you.
That's not bad though. Tampa beats a lot of teams pretty.
He's lost his last 3 starts to the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's 1-3. He's 1-3 in his 4 lifetime starts. So
yeah. I don't know. I never really look at the statistics of what a player has done against a team. When I'm starting a goalie, I'm just like, what's going to give me the best chance to win tonight based on how I feel about my guys back there. And I don't feel very, very Korpisalo back there. I got to be honest. So
no, I think it's Forsberg. Yeah, I would do Forsberg. All right.
Yeah.
Until tomorrow, gentlemen. Tomorrow afternoon, Darren Pang scheduled to join us. Just at his birthday, by the way. I want to talk about Craig Berube, who he knows very well. Obviously, get his input on Vladimir Tarasenko and what he might be thinking as well. And then maybe we'll talk about Jordan Binnington and what he thinks of the antics that come out of that goaltender.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll save it. Yeah. All right, guys, enjoy your holiday Monday. If you are celebrating, Bob, I want you to write down all the presidents and have that ready for me tomorrow.
Deal.
See you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.